I'm actually pretty happy with the way these came out. It's been a while since I've done like a 3D printing thing. And in that last flood we had at the old house before we moved to the Navajo reservation, we lost pretty much all the Halloween stuff. We could have saved the 3D printed stuff, but it was just covered in like silt and mud. And we had so many other things to try to salvage that we just opted to throw it away. We threw away a 16-foot roll-off dumpster of stuff. For the rest of September, you can save up to 80% off on TPU FDM printing. Get 36% off on all prints over 20 grams. The heavier you print, the bigger the discount. If it's over 64 grams, that's up to 80% off. It's on PCBWay's website right now. They have product capabilities here listed that show you all the different kinds of PCBs and things they can do. They've got projects here that are shared, so you can go in and find things. But the thing that really is cool to me is they do 3D printing. I upload my STL or similar file. I put up what the quantity I want, design units, material, all this stuff. And you just send off the quote when it's done. Someone checks it, and once they've decided that it's going to be viable, they send you the price. Thanks PCBWay for sponsoring this video. We had a few things that were in the living room, permanent decoration status, and I had previously tried to do this skull here with a oil paint. I did a wash, did it with the paint thinner and stuff, and it kind of came out the way I wanted. I used a brown, and you did get some dark stuff. We'll take a better look at it inside where we have a little bit better lighting. I waited too long to get out here into this lighting. So what I have is Rub and Buff. I downloaded something for my wife. She needed something to put her makeup in. And it was another like skull bowl kind of thing for like pencils or pens or whatever. I just printed it at the size that it came in. It was perfect for all of her like eye makeup stuff. It's really boring because I used Sunlu's bone filament. It's got a nice look, but it looks like brand new, bleached almost. I'm gonna practice on a skeleton hand, one of those flexible hands that I've shown on the channel before. I'm gonna try to get the black dialed in, hopefully on one finger, and if it works nicely, then I may try some of the metallic colors. I bought like a little 10 or 12 pack or something on Amazon, maybe 8, I don't know. Most of them were metallic, but there is the one black, so we'll take a look at that. But let's go inside, we'll take a better look at this one, and then see if we can't do a better job on the skeleton hand, because then I want to do the skull, and I also have a skull bowl thing that's a bunch of mini skulls that I would like to try to do the Rub and Buff black on. I'm not sure it's going to work the best because it has so many small things, but we'll take a look at it. I'm just setting up here on the kitchen counter. I'll show you what we're working with in a minute. Here is what I did with that first attempt with oil paints and a little thinner, and I'm really happy with how it came out, but it's just not quite what I was going for, although it does look pretty cool. And you can see how the paint like went into these kind of like defects in the filament, and it makes it look really cool. We have the Rub and Buff in the black, a wax metallic finish. It's actually ebony. We're gonna try it and see how it works. And like I said, we will try it on this skeleton hand here. I'll probably just start with the thumb and we'll go from there. Let me show you this too. This is ultimately what I want to try to do. And it has a lot of little imperfections from overhangs and stuff, but I think if I could get a good like wash on it or the Rub and Buff, I think we could make this look a whole lot neater. I'm going to have a little candy dish to set out. I guess I have to puncture this. There we go. Now I'm just going to put a little of that there for now. And we'll kind of go from there. I think I'm going to start with this, and we'll just kind of get a little on there, maybe blot a little off. And then I want to come at this thumb. So we'll start here at the tip. And we're just gonna, oh yeah, that's way too much. Jeez. Guess we're gonna be using multiple fingers. I guess I can remove some of the excess with a paper towel, but that's still a lot more than I wanted on there. I was trying to see why people wore respirators with this. This is, it reminds me of like shoe polish or even floor polish. So yeah, let's try to get rid of even more of that. Jeez. I feel like we're going to be doing a lot of buffing with the microfiber cloth after it kind of dries a little. So this piece might just not be the best to do this, because you do get that like topographical map kind of look. But it's a good thing to practice on. This is only like a 2.5 hour print and really doesn't use a lot of filament. I'm going to try an even tinier drop this time. And then I'm going to come with the flat part of the brush. It's just so random how it applies to this PLA. I'm gonna let this dry. So I just read the label when I noticed my fingers were burning. And it does say right on it, flammable, may be harmful if swallowed, vapor harmful, skin irritant, contains petroleum distillates. So I'm guessing it has something kind of like naphtha in it. I once got a little naphtha on the outside of my Zippo, put it in my watch pocket, and like 3 hours later I had like a rectangular burn from the naphtha. So I'm gonna wash my hands real good right now. Maybe in the future I need to get some gloves and do this outside. I don't know exactly how long you're supposed to wait for this stuff, and this isn't as great as a rubber glove. We are going to try and start buffing this. I'm just gonna come in here and go kind of crazy. There's just not a good way to show you this. I don't have any way to do overhead. And I know that sounds probably not the greatest. Yeah, not so sure about rub and buff. Maybe we go back to the drawing board for these. So now I'm like, what do I have in the house that might work well? I need to find something that needs a metallic look. I mean, a lot is coming off. Okay, so maybe we don't use this for the skull bowl. Back with some 3D prints that are slightly different. This is the key from Goonies. I found it on Bamboo's Maker World, and I just went ahead and printed 3 of them. We're gonna try gold leaf. We're going to try antique gold, and then we will try silver leaf. I figure by the time I get to the 3rd one, I might have this figured out. I think the problem here is you have something white and you're trying to put on black. Really, I think you need to start with black or something dark and then put on your finish as like the entire coat, and then let the underlying print come through. At least from the few YouTube videos I've watched of other people doing 3D prints, that's who's had the most success. The one guy did the black Mandalorian helmet or whatever, and then did it with silver, and it came out really, really nice. I think I'll start with the gold leaf. So I'll give myself a little working room here. Gonna put a little up here. And then I'm gonna cut this one more time. There we go. And we'll get some of this on here, and let's see what happens. Oh yeah. Man, you really need to do this like outside or with a respirator. It is very potent. Oh, this is gonna work beautifully. I'm gonna need a lot more than that though. Sponge really kind of soaked it up. So we're just gonna go up in here. And then I think we'll have to get down in there with the little one. Don't worry, I have more of those so we can do the other colors too. Yeah, so this is really sucking it up there. I'm gonna have to come back a couple of times, I think. It's just kind of one of those things where I saw someone do it and I was like, huh, I wanna check that out. Get a little more here. But I think that's gonna look great. I'm gonna get in here though. Well, maybe. Yeah, let's just try to get in here with this sponge. That way there's a little gold, but it also looks like, you know, grime and stuff has gotten in there. And I don't want it to look too good in there. I'm gonna need a little more though. I'm gonna go ahead and do this for the other ones and the other colors, then we'll come back unless something weird happens, and then I'll pop back. So I'll see you then. So there's the silver. I'm gonna apply it a little bit better, but we're definitely gonna have to come in here and rub on the rub and buff, or I guess buff on that, because it kind of went on really thick in there. But yeah, no, I am sold on this stuff. And then there's that one. I'm really, really happy with how these turned out. I'm gonna let them dry a little, and then maybe I'll come in and take a microfiber to them, kind of trickling up the silver a little. I might go ahead and do the whole of one. I can't tell if I like this antique gold better or the gold leaf. So we have the gold leaf, and then we have the antique, and I'm just not sure. I think I like this one better, so I might do that. Although I'm kind of down with that silver, but it wasn't really silver in the movie, so I think maybe we'll come back and finish the whole area of this one. So I did come in on this one and I used a little bit of microfiber and some comes off, but like nothing appreciable. I'm actually pretty happy with the way these came out. And then the back's not the best, but that's more my technique. That's where I was using tree supports. I used regular supports on the other two because I had trouble getting the tree supports off. That one's really good. I really like that one. And that one is that's the antique gold. This is the silver leaf, and then this one is gold leaf. I'm extremely happy with how this came out. You know, I've never done anything like this before. Obviously, my first attempt didn't work out. Had I printed this in black and gone back over it in white, it might have been interesting. But because of the way the print is, you'd also have these weird things going on. But yes, I would recommend a respirator. I would recommend gloves. I would recommend not doing this on your kitchen island where you prepare food. Don't do like I do. I really didn't think this one out. I'm kind of not an experienced crafter. So in the future, I will have really good ventilation. I'll probably use my fume extractor. Because of my beard, it's just hard to wear a respirator. You get one of those helmets that like Caitlin and Evan have, and they're like $1,000 or something. So not in the cards. But I will use a fume extractor, do this in the garage, and wear gloves. I just don't know where my rubber gloves are. And because of where we live, it's like 3 hours to go get some gloves each way. So it'd be 6 hour round trip for me to go buy gloves. So yeah, I've got some on order. And on the next project, I'm really happy with these. The silver one I did get pretty heavy up there, which my bad. But other than that, these two gold, I just can't decide if I like the gold leaf better or the antique gold. And I do have other golds, so I'm sure it'll get even more complicated trying to decide my favorite. But yeah, big thanks again to PCBWay for sponsoring this video. Links to them in the sticky comment, like always, in the description. They're so great. They allow me to do stuff like this, and you can go to them for your printing needs. I'll see you guys in the next video.